Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Horror Stories from the Internet. This time we're gonna be covering a rewrite of the original Sonic.exe Creepypasta. Now, a lot of you already know what already happens in the original, so we may go over some of the same stuff from the original, but since this is a really long remake Creepypasta, we are gonna see a lot we are bound to see a lot more different stuff in it as well. Also for this, I don't think I will be doing a small summary of this for this story, so we sort of all know what happens in the original, but also I wish for all of you and myself to go into Sonic.exe Darkest Struggles, or this Sonic.exe remake slash rewrite Creepypasta, completely blind and such. So sit back and relax as I get into reading this pasta. Gaming time is me time, and boy was I enjoying a special treat today. Mom and Dad were out for the whole day, so I popped Sonic Unleashed into my 360, turned up the volume louder than my parents would ever allow, and swayed my head to that great rooftop run track, occasionally providing some of my own commentary. Of course, our doorbells were loud enough to wake the dead, so I jolted when I went off, and Sonic went careening into a pit. Just great. I really hoped it wasn't company. Mom wouldn't let me bring anyone over, and she'd be extra mad if these were some of my friends trying to drag me out of the house. 15's old enough to be responsible with such things, but no. Mom's gotta be one of those overly protective types. Whatever. Thankfully, it was only the mail. Just a manila envelope waiting on the floor. The noise of the game covered up the sound of the mailman coming and going. I grabbed it and flipped it over, and to my amusement, the phrase, "From Kyle Caxton to Tom Wilson, enjoy," was written below the shipping info. Sweet! Kyle and I have been friends since elementary school. We used to trade and play games, hang out, play ball together, stuff like that. Since I was only a child, since I was an only child, and we were close in age, I considered him to be my brother. I considered him to be my brother. I haven't been able to see him often since his folks moved away, but we'd still call each other up and trade games in the mail. I got back to playing Sonic, but it didn't take long before I wanted to see what Kyle had sent me this time. I opened the folder and found a CD case inside. I popped it open and saw it was a CDR disc. I immediately noticed the big bold marker on it, reading Sonic.exe. Wasn't Kyle's handwriting, though. Sonic game, eh? What can I say? Kyle knows what I like. And so off the 360 went, and on went the PC. There was also a sheet of paper folded and inserted into the front of the case. But if it was instructions, I'd get to those later. I like to experience my games blind. Headphones on? Check. Virus scan clean? Check. Chair good and comfy? A little hard towards the back, but good enough. Check. The only thing on the disc was the executable appropriately named Sonic. So in I went. It was the original Sonic 1 with the Sega logo. Sonic Team presents message and title screen. Did Kyle not think I had this one? He doesn't know Sonic as well as I do, so maybe he thought this was an obscure game or something. Well, I guess my versions are stuck on the Genesis and in Sonic Mega Collection, so a PC version might be nice. I hit enter, and as the image of Sonic and his emblem on the Green Hill background faded out, the colors bugged out. It all turned all gray and red for a second. It made for a freaky effect, if that was any indication of the level of quality of this version of the game. I was not impressed. Instead of loading into a level, however, I was greeted by a data select screen. Oh, I found myself expressing as a catchy, upbeat Genesis tune started playing. Page 1. A ROM hack, is it? I had heard about these, seen a few videos here and there. Kyle is no programmer, so that explains why the disc didn't have his handwriting. I mean, hey, if he sent it to me, that means it was good enough to avoid the rubbish bin. That and what I was now seeing on the screen made me more excited to dive in. There was the Sonic 1 special stage background and some Sonic 3 styled save slots. Within the slots border, we had Tails, Knuckles, and Dr. Robotnik. Okay, if they'd let me play as Robotnik, I'd be really impressed. The current level icons were above the characters, but they only had static in them. So, fresh save files and all, I suppose. I did notice the backgrounds, birds and fish that had their green and cyan colors switched. I've messed around with some simple Sonic sprite animations before, so I wasn't too keen on seeing this many errors in this little time. Knuckles and Robotnik had custom padlock icons over them, so maybe there was some 16-bit color limitation thing going on that affected the background. Can't expect all of these ROM hacks to be winners in every way. Tails was the only selectable character for now. I saw the handy options text below the characters, so I took a quick moment to set the controls to my liking. I selected him. Page 2. The echoing jingle of being teleported to a special stage rang out. The screen filled with white light before fading, and there was the familiar Green Hill Zone Act 1 level card I was expecting. I noticed the letters in green and zone flickering, but I guess I was expecting the occasional graphical bug to show up every now and then as well. Boo! Alas, there it was. Tails in Green Hill Zone. A lively version of it to boot. It had those bouncing balloon flowers from the good ending of the game. Nice start. The music was more triumphant. Alright, very cool. I spent a few seconds listening, and the music got a little weird for a moment, but yeah. All in all, nice track. When my eyes drifted back over to Tails, I saw him start up a new idle animation. He pointed ahead while giving the player an expression that conveyed a little concern. Oh, okay. I think I get it. This is some kind of revisit to the island? And Tails wanted to find Sonic. probably. I instinctively hit the A key twice to fly, and what do you know? Tails flew. I'd never gotten to personally experience this mechanic in this game, but it felt just right. The spin dash was also coded in. I then remembered that I set a keybind for action in the options menu to the S key, so I tried it out, and Tails actually did a tail swipe attack like in the advanced games. Alright, programmer, you got me. I wasn't expecting brand new mechanics. You may have some bugs in this thing, but you've apparently got some chops too. Now that the discovery phase was over, it was time to play some Sonic. I blasted ahead through the level, bopping and swiping Bagnicks the whole time. It didn't take long for me to notice the Badniks had new sprite work modeled after some of the newer games. I mean, makes sense if they're trying to sell this as a modern revisit of an old level. Maybe they'll redo the character sprites at some point to match. I almost missed something part way into the act amidst my speedy gameplay. It took me a moment to make out the details of the garbled sprite. But it was a buzz bomber enemy with its body blown out and opened. I didn't proceed much further than that before Tails stopped on his own. He looked ahead and about 10 small animals scurried in from the right, passing by him, scampering by without giving the fox a second thought. I noticed Tails was trying to flag them down, but they ignored his pleas for attention. Tails signed, looked at the camera with a shrug, and then the game resumed. Okay, game, custom cutscenes, you've got my full attention. After that, I noticed more of those blown out Badnik sprites. So what? Sonic's ahead of me or something? And has been having the time of his life bashing bots. Wonder if he'll give me a medal or something if I take out more than he does. It didn't take long for the level to draw to a close, and there was no special stage ring despite my ring count. So hey, maybe I was right about Badnik destruction being some good ending criteria. As the points were racking up in the end of the level point tally, I noticed some things that slipped by me before. I had one life. I had only one life, so I'd have to be more careful than I had been previously. I don't think there were any checkpoints either. Might be a short hack that demands precision, or some kind of challenge hack or something. Well, okay. I'm always up for a good Sonic challenge. As these thoughts came and went, the next level card showed up. It was buggier than the last. The green and zone text was flickering like before, but this time the letters would occasionally flicker out and not come back, eventually leaving Hill Act 2 as the only thing on the black background before me. Alright, I was almost having so much fun that I forgot about the graphical bugs. When I started playing, I was quickly I very quickly noticed I was in Act 3? With the spike pit in front of the starting area, my face instinctively crinkled a little at this oddity. There was more evidence of Sonic having been here already. The invincibility monitor above the start was broken open already, so I really could have used it because I nearly accidentally dove into that spike pit before saving myself with Tails' flight. It took me a moment to realize why that happened. The spring and platform that was supposed to help you out, there was missing. Yeah, challenge hack. After landing safely, I looked around to see what else changed, and I noticed some badnik parts. This time towards the right edge of the spike pit. Well, in the spike pit is more accurate. It looked brutal too. It did cross my mind that I hadn't seen any image or death animations for Tails, but I test stuff like that out when I got bored. For now, back to the level. Lots of level objects were missing, and I couldn't place if this was because the programmer had already run out of steam or if this was part of the challenge. Tails' flight was always been has always been a godsend, and that was truer here than in most classic levels. I noticed the badniks drying up too, and I was starting to wonder if I had guessed right about this hack at all. Things were really dry until I reached one of the higher bridges a bit into the act. It was actually collapsed, dangling off the plateau, and when I started to fly over, I quickly collected a single leftover ring, and then lost all sense of position because I couldn't see the level anymore. Just Tails on the background. I turned him around right quick and landed back where I leapt from, because the last thing I wanted was to fling him into a pit because half the level was missing or something. I made it down to the lower path, but progressing through a tunnel were quickly led to a dead end and some platforms that ushered me back up to a middle path. The whole level was melding into one linear path. Okay, scripted part coming up. I mothered to myself as I had Tails crouch amidst the flowers. I wanted to see if I could guess what the game maker had in mind for this next part. So I reflected on what came before. What did that cutscene mean? If the animals were free, they'd frolic in place, right? If they were happy to see Tails, they'd dance around him, right? Yeah. If they were running from something, they'd do what they did. I didn't pay super close attention to the sprites, but I think they were edited. I think they were supposed to look frightened. Okay, so Robotnik's ahead too then? Maybe Sonic was captured? Alright, that's all the motivation I need. So I pressed right and had Tails move forward. A few steps later, I found a new sprite. It was a flower. Droopy, darkened, messy, dying. Another music track started to play. One I didn't recognize. It seemed to be playing with reversed notes, and it conveyed loneliness. As the notes danced ear to ear through my headphones, I found my head subtly swaying to follow them. There was more unique wilted flower sprites ahead, and upwards slope signposted by one of Green Hill's totem poles. The top face looked mournful. As I had Tails move up the slope and progress, I could see it had much to be sad about. Trees and ferns were in the same sorry state. The totem poles transitioned from sad faces to ones I would describe as anguish. The grass a bit further ahead was dulled and yellowed. I backtracked to compare and contrast these new sprites. Alright. I know I was originally going to read all of this in one single video and review it all in the same video because I had the huge motivation to. But considering I am tangled up with wanting to work on many other things, and I decided to be splitting my narration and review of this entire pasta into parts while I work on the other horror stories from the internet episodes here and there, and plus another update. This series is now a part of a fun little collab creepypasta narration and review media channel started by my pal Grayson, who I help out here and there with a couple of unfiction projects and such. But enough of that. Before I continue, the channel itself is called Digital Abominations, which I'll be linking in the description below or something like that. But yeah. Anyways, thoughts on this pasta so far? Well, so far a slow start. Sorry I have not really gotten into the juicy stuff just yet, but then again, I am working on this video and it's a mini horror stories from the internet review series, whatever, on this massive pasta, while working on another episode on a shorter story and other such things like a few unfiction projects, so you can't blame me. But yeah, slow start. I really like the slow start, and I like how the build up is going so far. I'm hyped to get more into this story, especially since I love really long stories like this. So yeah, and the additional characterization of Tom seems pretty good so far. He sounds a bit more like an actual, like, dude, a part of the Sonic fandom and shit, a bit, who enjoys some games like Sonic Unleashed and shit. Maybe he's like a bit of a dark era Sonic fan a bit. Who knows? And also, I should note, or if I already excused myself previously, I am noting this again. I want to excuse the narration on this part I did being kind of bad. Reasons why is because slight burnout and I was exhausted when doing the narration. But you probably won't notice most or some of those bloopers because I will be cutting a couple or most out, especially the long pauses. Well, many of those bloopers and shit out, especially the long pauses, but yeah. But yeah, so far the start seems pretty promising so far, and considering this being reviewed in parts, I am not rating this just yet until I have read the entire thing and reviewed the entire thing. So yeah. Now that's the end of this new episode of Horror Stories from the Internet. What are your thoughts, and what do you think of this story? Do you disagree with some of what I said or whatever, or tell me in the comments below. If you know any creepypastas or internet horror stories that may be pretty that may be pretty interesting for me to check out in a future episode. Also, let me know in the comments below. And if you have got a story you want to make or share it on the Danger 11 forums I have set up. Though I will admit the forums are pretty dead like usual due to me not posting much in it, or the fact that there are not many forum members there aside from forum staff like me and a couple friends. But yeah. Anyways, I will see you all next time in the next episode or next video.